My name's Tom Longson, and I'm here to talk to you today about my company, GogoCoin, which is similar to GoCoin in the sense that we're also a Bitcoin company, but we're doing something very different. We're onboarding people to Bitcoin. So they're still working on it, but basically what I found in the space is that there was a real problem with Bitcoin. There's no easy way to buy it. Like Brock said, you can go to localbitcoins.com, you can meet up with somebody like in a Starbucks or an Apple store and buy Bitcoin from them with cash. But you can't do this in a retail store. There's no place where you can buy Bitcoins today. GogoCoin makes buying Bitcoins easy and instant, and this is a really big deal. Coinbase.com currently takes about 6 days to actually give you your Bitcoins after you've purchased them. So they'll debit you beforehand, and they'll give you your Bitcoins about 6 days later. That's a big deal. Our card, the GogoCoin card by GogoCoin, is basically a Bitcoin card. It allows you to buy Bitcoins in increments of $10, $25, $100, whatever. It allows you to take your cash, go to a retailer, put it on the table, and get a card like this. So how does it work? It's pretty simple. What you do is you go to that retailer, you put down the cash, you scratch off the code on the back, and you can redeem and sign up. It's very, very simple. Basically, the whole process is to onboard a person to Bitcoin in a way that makes it so that the retailer doesn't have to worry about the exchange fees, the consumer doesn't have to worry about buying Bitcoins at a particular price, and you're able to basically move this transaction forward. Additionally, you can give a card to somebody else, and they can try out Bitcoin themselves, and you know that they're going to be able to do this without having to work with complicated technologies or anything sophisticated. So what does this look like? From a redemption standpoint, all you do is you type in your code, you sign up, and you have a wallet. Our wallet, which we just released for Launchfest, looks like this. This is a single transaction. I've redeemed one card for $10, which got me a fractional point Bitcoin. So a lot of people don't realize that you can buy Bitcoins for less than one Bitcoin. So you can buy, Bitcoins are subdivisible. You can buy any amount of Bitcoins, and you're good to go. I mean, you can spend this around the world. You can, as Brock said, there are a lot of places where you can buy Bitcoins, and we're really on the cusp of this changing hugely. For example, you can spend it on overstock.com. There are real things you can buy. It's no longer a kind of toy technology. This is something that is becoming a very, very big deal, and it's because you can buy anything. It's really, you can buy airline tickets, you can buy video games. Humble Bundle is one of my favorite places to spend Bitcoins because you can get video games for really, really cheap and also donate to a charity. We have a lot of really key advantages, which I think are important to highlight. We have no upfront cost to retailers. That means, unlike a Bitcoin ATM, which costs us about $5,000, we can put cards into a retail outlet for no money up front. Basically, when they activate the card, we bill them. So not the other way around. For consumers, it's redeemable anytime. This means that there's no waiting period. They can go, redeem it today, redeem it tomorrow. If they're worried about the spot price changing, they want to get the best price possible, they can go at their leisure. And again, you can spend this on a lot of different products. Tigers Direct is a really big place that you can buy Bitcoins now, or spend Bitcoins now. GoCoin is really pushing the space in terms of merchants. BitPay as well, as is Coinbase. So what does this market look like? Our analysis of Coinbase.com, which is an American-only business, is that they, in the last year, have gone from $0 to $40 million worth of sales per month of Bitcoins. That means people are willing to buy Bitcoins, and there's a real demand for it. And the prepaid market is no small market either. Basically, what this graph shows you in blue is closed-loop cards versus orange, which are open-loop cards. And this represents a huge area where people are spending money because not everybody wants a credit card. Not everybody wants a bank account. Really, there's a huge access gap. There are a lot of people who are looking to be able to get cash into the system, They want to use it for things like paying bills, buying products, who knows? But they aren't able to get into the system easily. And this is why the prepaid market in orange has been growing so rapidly. If you look at this, it's $353 billion. That's huge. And this has been a huge industry moving up. And we believe that Bitcoin is really where the prepaid market is going. Because with Bitcoin, you don't have to buy one product like the iTunes card or the Steam card or Xbox. PayPal even has a prepaid card. We think that it's going to be Bitcoin because that's digital cash. Digital cash is powerful because it allows you to spend money everywhere and without the chargebacks. Basically, when I give you money, that's irreversible. If I want to get that money back, I have to ask you to send it back to me. And for merchants, this is a really big deal because then they can sell things like TVs and not worry about the 90-day chargeback. In fact, Coinbase and PayPal have to treat their customers a little bit like criminals because they're trying to figure out if they're going to be defrauded by their customer in 90 days or less. They're basically taking a risk to try to sell those Bitcoins through a reversible payment mechanism. Because we work with cash and retailers, we have a payment firewall. Basically, the retailer acts as a firewall for fraud. We have a really strong opportunity. We have invested $20K to date, largely from Dream Ventures and some private investors. We're looking to solve our legal, financial compliance needs. Basically, this is a huge market to enter into. It also means that there's a lot of regulation that you need to address. We're initially looking at the international market and avoiding the United States in particular because of compliance issues. We're raising up to $500K in order to do this. We're looking at having a round after that for around $5 million. But initially we want to build out the product to the point where we have distribution worldwide. We have real traction that's showing that there is a huge demand for Bitcoin and that we're addressing that demand. From a liquidation standpoint, there are similar companies in the virtual games space. These two cards that you see on here, the Ultimate Game Card and ZVEX, have both had successful liquidation. PlaySpan went to Visa for $190 million cash. I think this is significant because you're talking about virtual game credits versus a payment mechanism which allows you to buy anything. Our operations are based in Berkeley, California. Our revenue drivers are retail sales, a foreign exchange premium, product integration, and breakage. So with our wallet, we're able to advertise other products and basically give people that really easy experience so that if I give this to my mom, I know that she can buy something with it, and I know that she's not going to have to go through a lot of steps to figure out where to spend it. That is really a straightforward process. I get a card, I redeem it, I spend it somewhere. Because a lot of people like Bitcoin because of the kind of toy aspect of it, because it's really early technology, so there's a lot of early adopters. But what we're looking at is a giant payment system that is going to really revolutionize the world in the same way that Craigslist did to the newspapers. Because you've got something that used to be very expensive being very cheap now. You suddenly are able to move money without having to spend a lot of money. For example, you don't need armored cars in the same way to send somebody money. You don't need to spend 8.5% to send money over Western Union. This is a huge market because it's hugely disruptive. And you've got the financial tech infrastructure has not changed a whole lot in the last 10 years. For example, what are the most recent things you see now the banks that are financial innovations? Being able to scan your checks, ATMs, they're not really revolutionary, are they? What we're seeing with Bitcoin is a revolution in financial tech. And I believe this is significant. The GogoCoin team is led by myself. I'm working with Dan Silverman, and we have a lot of financial tech experience. I worked on Wells Fargo's largest B2B app. It profited $500 million per month, and it was a credit card expense reporting tool. These are huge markets. Dan Silverman has worked for Predict Wall Street. He also did a YC-backed company, Gamador. And we have a team, Zach Prefer, who's currently working the booth. He's our support guy. We have general counsel and evangelism through Von Henning. We also have really good advisors. We have Jared Kenna from TradeHill. If you're familiar with the Bitcoin space, TradeHill is one of the first Bitcoin exchanges. It actually came out of demand because Mt. Gox was the only exchange that was available for Bitcoins. And Jared was like, well, there needs to be more. You've got a decentralized currency. It shouldn't be centralized in these key points of exchanges. So he built up one of the first exchanges, tradehill.com. Kevin Lacker, he's the CTO of Parse. Parse, you might be familiar with. They exited to Facebook and was a very successful exit. He also worked on Google Search. So we have a lot of tech back to our site. Ultimately, GogoCoin is making digital cash available to everyone everywhere, and this is huge because we're not looking at an American market, we're not looking at a particular market in general, we're looking at the whole world and in a way that how are they moving money around the world? How are we addressing those needs? How are we giving them access to digital cash to begin with? GogoCoin gives people access to digital cash in a retail setting, so you don't have to go online, you don't have to have an American bank account and go through Coinbase or some other service, meeting somebody off of Craigslist. It's just not scalable. GogoCoin is scalable and adaptable. And apparently I need a new mic. Can I have the... I think I want the old one back. Anyway, I'd love to answer your questions about Bitcoin. I've been in the space for quite a long time, and I would love to hear what you have to say and your questions about the product. Yes?
Is there a profile on the demographics of who's using this digital money?
I still can't hear you.
Is there any kind of demographic profile on the users of the digital coins?
Who's using Bitcoin? Okay, so Bitcoin, I've actually done a lot of research into who's using Bitcoin because I'm really interested in the market of how it's actually being used. And what I've seen mostly is that there's a lot of payments for things like electronics. There's a lot of donations in the charity space. EFF has done really well, for example. WordPress is a really popular site. They managed to start getting incremental users because they were accepting Bitcoin, because they weren't able to sell blogs to people internationally. Because not everybody internationally has a credit card. Not everybody internationally has access to banking systems. A huge amount of the world is unbanked. It's about 53% of the world is unbanked. So we're talking about people who are going to be the next adopters. So to answer your question in particular, what I see is it's primarily people buying things like electronics, gambling, and other e-commerce types of services. So really, it's not what the media hypes it up to be for the most part. It's really kind of normal things that normal people would do. Overstock.com, that's what you should think of when you think of Bitcoin.
I know you mentioned that you have a wallet service related to this. Is this a true Bitcoin wallet in the sense of a Coinbase or a blockchain.info? And if it is, how are you addressing the security concerns? Do you have people on your team with a security background that'll help you? Because I know there's been a lot of hacks in the space of recent.
Security is a really big deal, and so we're adopting best of industry practices. Again, I worked for Wells Fargo on our largest B2B app. We dealt with a lot of security issues. I also worked for Sony.com. They, because of their history, are very, very tight on security. Additionally, Dan and I have both worked on different financial platforms, so we're familiar with the space. That's not to say that we don't take security very seriously moving forward. We keep money offline because we don't, for the most part, we don't want to have our customers' money being available to hackers if we ever do get compromised. So what we do is we actually keep the majority of our funds offline. And this is really powerful because it allows us to operate in a way that when we need to get money into the system, we can move it from our offline wallet into our hot wallet, which is on the internet versus offline. And that really solves a lot of our issues.
Sorry if you mentioned this earlier in your talk, but are your cards rechargeable, or can you log on and refill it all, or are they single use?
So our cards aren't currently rechargeable. We have the ability to do that though. So it's definitely a model that we're looking into as allowing people to have one card that rules them all, essentially.
If I'm a merchant, how do I redeem your card? Do I need like an iPad or?
Awesome. So for a merchant who's selling a Bitcoin card, all I need is an iPad, a phone. Basically, we are working under the assumption that we're addressing the last mile of Bitcoin, the people who can't get it, people who don't have access to a Bitcoin ATM. So what we've done is we've included 3 different mechanisms for being able, for the retailer to be able to activate the card. So first, we have a mag stripe. Secondly, we have a QR code. And thirdly, we have a number which you can just use over a phone or something like that. So basically, we're trying to address every single possible way that they would be putting it into the system. We don't have point of sale integration, but we found that that's not really necessary considering how prevalent smartphones are now.
Seven?
Do you have any competition?
We do. So there are 2 companies that we're aware of. There is CoinTap out of Canada, and there is giftcoins.me. So giftcoins.me has basically, as far as I know, stopped working. CoinTap is still being aggressive, and they're based out of Canada. And we believe that there's a lot of room in the space still. The fact that there's only 2 companies that are really addressing this very, very core need, I think is a big deal. And we have a lot of opportunity to essentially make a large land grab.
If you wanted to sell these in Thailand, sell them in Thailand tomorrow, would you?
Yes. It's all about legal compliance, and that's why we're raising funds.
Thanks, Tom. We're running a little bit tight.